All changes take place in consciousness. The future, although prepared in every detail in advance, has several outcomes. At every moment of our lives, we have before us the choice of which of several futures we will choose.
The first dimension is pretty simple. A dot, a point, a singular state of being that holds no relativity. Nothing exists in relation to the first dimension. As soon as you start relating points to one another, we have entered into the second dimension. The second dimension, in a sense, is the dimension we have full understanding of. We encounter it everywhere we go. We often express ourselves in the second dimension through art or geometry. The second dimension is the shadow of everything in the third dimension. It holds relativity between the points in the first dimension and is easiest to symbolize as a line, length, and width. The third dimension is where our senses reside. We live in the 3D. We encounter depth, height. The second dimension is like living on paper. You would have no concept of anything above the page. If you were in a page in a book, the pages beneath and above you would seemingly be non-existent. This is important to consider when we start assuming the higher dimensions. The fourth dimension goes beyond our senses and our natural mind of reasoning and logic. It is not present, for the new depth presented in the fourth dimension is time. The third dimension is always bounded by a linear understanding of time. The third dimension is always present and holds no future or past, but the fourth dimension does. It would be a non-linear interpretation of time, where past and future don't exist outside of present. Interestingly enough, we too have this ability, but it is outside of the natural mind. It can be perceived with our creative mind, our imagination. Where looking inwards to our thoughts, we can envision scenes of the past or dreams of the future. Remember that the 2D is a shadow, a cross-section of the third dimension, much as the first dimension is a cross-section of the second. This then can be rationalized that the 3D too is a cross-section or shadow of the 4D. So, if we can direct our thoughts throughout time and realize them in the lower dimensions, why would you ever direct your thoughts toward negativity, as you would be subjected to them in your 3D experience? But remember that your 3D understanding of the world will only ever be witnessed in linear time. Whatever you believe in your thoughts will play out, but is the reason they don't pop into existence.
All changes take place in consciousness. The future, although prepared in every detail in advance, has several outcomes. At every moment of our lives, we have before us the choice of which of several futures we will choose. There are two actual outlooks on the world possessed by everyone, a natural focus and a spiritual focus. The ancient teachers called the one the carnal mind, the other the mind of Christ. We may differentiate them as ordinary, waking consciousness, governed by our senses, and a controlled imagination, governed by desire.
The habit of seeing only that which our senses permit renders us totally blind to what we otherwise could see. To cultivate the faculty of seeing the invisible, we should often deliberately disentangle our minds from the evidence of the senses and focus our attention on an invisible state, mentally feeling it and sensing it until it has all the distinctness of reality. Earnest, concentrated thought, focused in a particular direction, shuts out other sensations and causes them to disappear. We have but to concentrate on the state desired in order to see it. The habit of withdrawing attention from the region of sensation and concentrating it on the invisible develops our spiritual outlook and enables us to penetrate beyond the world of sense and to see that which is invisible.
For the invisible things of Him from the creation of the world are clearly seen. Romans 1:20.
This vision is completely independent of the natural faculties. Open it and quicken it. Without it, these instructions are useless, for the things of the Spirit are spiritually discerned. A little practice will convince us that we can, by controlling our imagination, reshape our future in harmony with our desire. Desire is the mainspring of action. We could not move a single finger unless we had a desire to move it. No matter what we do, we follow the desire which at the moment dominates our minds. When we break a habit, our desire to break it is greater than our desire to continue in the habit. The desires which impel us to action are those that hold our attention. A desire is but an awareness of something we lack or need to make our life more enjoyable. Desires always have some personal gain in view. The greater the anticipated gain, the more intense is the desire. There is no absolutely unselfish desire. Where there is nothing to gain, there is no desire, and consequently, no action.
The key to progress in life and to the fulfillment of dreams lies in ready obedience to its voice. Unhesitating obedience to its voice is an immediate assumption of the wish fulfilled. To desire a state is to have it.
By assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and then living and acting on this conviction, alters the future in harmony with your assumption. Assumptions awaken what they affirm. As soon as one assumes the feeling of his wish fulfilled, his four-dimensional self finds ways for the attainment of this end, discovers methods for its realization. With its larger outlook, the four-dimensional self then constructs the means necessary to realize the accepted end. The undisciplined mind finds it difficult to assume a state which is denied by the senses. Here's a technique that makes it easy to encounter events before they occur, to call things which are not seen as though they were. People have a habit of slighting the importance of simple things, but this simple formula for changing the future was discovered after years of searching and experimenting. The first step in changing the future of desire is define your objective. Know definitely what you want. Secondly, construct an event which you believe you would encounter following the fulfillment of your desire, an event which implies fulfillment of your desire, something that will have the action of self-predominant. Thirdly, immobilize the physical body and induce a condition akin to sleep. Lie on a bed or relax in a chair and imagine that you are sleepy. Then, with eyelids closed and your attention focused on the action you intend to experience, in imagination, mentally feel yourself right into the proposed action, imagining all the while that you are actually performing the action, here and now. You must always participate in the imaginary action, not merely stand back and look on, but you must feel that you are actually performing the action, so that the imaginary sensation is real to you. It is important always to remember that the proposed action must be one which follows the fulfillment of your desire. And also, you must feel yourself into the action until it has all the vividness and distinctness of reality.
Experience has taught me to restrict the imaginary action, to condense the idea which is to be the object of our meditation into a single act, and to reenact it over and over again until it has the feeling of reality.
A most effective way to embody a desire is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and then, in a relaxed and sleepy state, repeat over and over again, like a lullaby, any short phrase which implies fulfillment of our desire, such as, "Thank you," as though we addressed a higher power for having done it for us. If, however, we seek a conscious projection into a dimensionally larger world, then we must keep the action going right up until sleep ensues. Experience in imagination, with all the distinctiveness of reality, what would be experienced in the flesh were you to achieve your goal. And you shall, in time, meet it in the flesh, as you met it in your imagination. Feed the mind with premises, that is, assertions presumed to be true. Because assumptions, though unreal to the senses, if persisted in until they have the feeling of reality, will harden into facts. To an assumption, all means which promote its realization are good. It influences the behavior of all by inspiring in all the movements, the actions, and the words which tend towards its fulfillment.